Welcome back to MidEast In-Depth, part of Levant TV's Press Reviews. David Ignatius writes in the Daily Star an article titled "American Interests Gained from a Decisive White House." When Attorney General Eric Holder says that the Islamic State that has taken root in Iraq and Syria poses a deadly threat and that he has extreme concern about its bomb makers, that sounds like an emergency. Yet, the Obama administration hasn't settled on a coordinated aggressive response that might prevent this inferno from spreading. The delay in framing a credible plan for stopping the Islamic State is part of a larger worry about President Barack Obama's foreign policy. Even when the White House has good basic strategies, there is too often a lack of follow-through to coordinate the tools of national power. There is no prize for good intentions here. Ignatius believes a retooled Syria program may be back by September, but it's too late in the game for such missteps and delay. The US president must mobilize the US government. He needs to decide on a strategy and implement it, and he should communicate his plans clearly to the country. Ignatius concludes by saying you can sympathize with the White House's situation in a chaotic world that simultaneously craves and resents American leadership. But when core US national security interests are involved, as in combating the Islamic State or maintaining the strongest possible alliance with Germany, the White House must break through whatever resistance or inertia it encounters. The rest is excuses. David Pollock of the Washington Institute for Near East Policy writes a piece assessing public opinion in Gaza with regards to Hamas. A recent credible poll, he says, shows that most Gazans oppose Hamas policies and leaders alike and favor a ceasefire with Israel. Hamas has just rejected Egypt's offer of a ceasefire with Israel and instead continues to fire rockets indiscriminately at Israeli towns and cities. Less known is a crucial fact: the people of Gaza are solidly against these Hamas policies. Pollock adds these findings are based on a June 15 to 17 survey by a highly respected Palestinian pollster who conducted face-to-face interviews throughout Gaza. Hamas should maintain a ceasefire with Israel in both Gaza and the West Bank. This attitude is corroborated by the 73% of Gazans who said Palestinians should adopt proposals for non-violent popular resistance against the occupation. The writer adds that the poll also demonstrates that Gazans are unhappy with Hamas governance on multiple levels. A large majority of 71% considered crime to be a significant problem. Two-thirds said that another significant problem was official corruption, and moreover, a large majority of 78% found the presence of Palestinian militias that are not organized under the former security structure to be at least a moderate problem. As to policy implications, Pollock suggests that the June survey demonstrates the sharp contrast between what most Gazans want and what their Hamas government really wants. These fundamental facts should help guide the US government and its regional allies as they search not just for a ceasefire, but also for long-term economic and political prescriptions for Gaza's fate. And now we are joined by Fra Huges, political analyst, talking to us from Belfast. Welcome on MidEast In-Depth.
Thank you.
In its policy implications for the US government, David Pollock writes in the Washington Institute that polls in Gaza indicate that most Gazans reject military escalation, and despite anger at Israeli airstrikes, the Gazan public still supports a ceasefire. Fra, do you believe that it is a matter of what the Gazans want that actually shapes US policy?
Well, firstly, I'd like to offer my condolences to the 200 Palestinian martyrs who've been murdered in the last 8 days in both Gaza and the West Bank, and my sympathy to the over 1,400 people, many of whom were seriously injured. As for David Pollock's poll, I expect nothing more from America but propaganda. I think it's a very, very, very limited attempt to undermine the democratically elected government of Hamas. It's an attempt, a very poor attempt, to destabilize and try and draw away support for the Hamas structures within Gaza. I think if the Americans were really concerned about Gaza, they would insist that Israel stop bombing the 1.8 million people who live there in an area that's 25 miles by 7. If they could stop the illegal building of the settlements in the West Bank, and if they could stop funding billions of dollars per year for Israeli military hardware, F-16s, warships, and Apache helicopters, I think America is just continuing to destabilize the region through Palestine, Syria, places like Ukraine, Venezuela, and Chile. It's just American propaganda.
And Fra, what do you think of Gazan children being shelled on the beach, and why is Israel manifesting such acts despite international condemnation as is?
Well, the blatant murder of 4 children on the beach in Gaza yesterday, a beach that I walked along in 2010, I think it just proves how much the Israeli government, the IDF, and unfortunately sections of Israeli society have demonized and indeed dehumanized the Palestinian people. Those 4 children murdered possibly by shells from the Israeli Navy. I think what you'll find is that because America and Britain, who are the 2 surrogate parents of this kind of European colonization of the Middle East, I think so long as they continue to both support financially and politically the pariah state of Israel, and when sanctions are mentioned in the United Nations, Israel of which has more violations of United Nations resolutions than any country in the world. So long as Britain and America continue to veto any sanctions, which would be military, economic or financial, Israel feels that it can do whatever it wants. And the majority of Western leaders and Western media are very, very, very pro-Zionist, and it's only a very few media outlets like Levant TV and social media and social networking that's allowing people to see the truth and the reality of what's happening on the ground.
Fra Huges, also member of the National Union of Journalists and of Unite Ireland, the trade union movement. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
And for more updates, please visit our website, levant.tv. Thanks for watching MidEast In-Depth, and bye for now.